Hello, my name is Damian Callan and I'm going to show you how to make a charcoal drawing on tracing paper of a head, very much in the style of the artist Degas. I'm going to be drawing on tracing paper, which is of course translucent, so I lay it on top of some cream paper on the easel so that I can see the marks that I'm making, and I'm drawing with willow charcoal, which is going to flow in a very satisfying way on this surface. I'm going to be working with willow charcoal, and I particularly like thin sticks of willow charcoal, nice long sticks which are going to work in a very fluid way on this tracing paper surface. I'm going to begin this drawing by drawing only with line, and I'm going to make this a very particular line. It's a continuous line that goes not just around the outside of Rosie's head but also across her face, connecting her features. And by taking this approach of not lifting my charcoal off the page and going around the outside of the head but also across the features, I connect different parts of the face and different parts of the head. And I'm doing it quickly because I don't want to get stuck anywhere yet. This is an initial impression where I find how different parts of Rosie's face and head are connected. And I'm drawing a fairly tentative line. It's quite faint, and that again is helpful because it means that I haven't committed myself too much with this drawing yet until I see how the different parts of this head come together. And here again the tracing paper is very helpful because it's such a lovely smooth surface that these lines in willow charcoal can flow across the page and allow me to move from one part of the head to another. At this point now, I need to stand back 2 good steps to really see what I've drawn. When I'm working at the easel, it's very difficult to know exactly what I've put down on the page. From this sort of distance, I have a much better idea, and I can see if things are in proportion, if I have placed Rosie's features in the way that I want to, and then I can come back to the easel knowing what I need to work on and continue to draw. The next thing I'm going to do is snap the charcoal in half to have a shorter stick, and I'm going to be able to press a lot harder now, continue these lines that I was drawing, but now emphasize some of them a little bit more strongly. In the first stage I drew plenty of quite faint grey lines. And now that I've snapped the charcoal, I can press a bit harder and I can make some black lines. So this is a chance to emphasize some of the things that I'm seeing a little bit more. The first lines that I drew, some may have been in the right place, so I can make them stronger. Others that I've changed my mind about, I can ignore and replace them with this heavier mark just by pressing a bit harder. But I'm still doing lines, I'm still making them continuous, not lifting the charcoal off the page, because although I've stood back and seen what I've done, I'm a long way from concentrating on any particular part of the drawing. Putting a bit more pressure on now, and really selecting from the many lines that I began with, some points at which I'm going to put more pressure on and make those lines heavier. I'm strengthening some of those lines where I'm confident that I want them to be placed. Then after standing back, I'm going to draw in a slightly different way. Having done all these lovely flowing lines, trying to pick up something of the pattern and arrangement of Rosie's features and her shape of her head, I'm now going to put on a pattern of shadow. I'm going to look with my eyes half closed and see a pattern of light and dark shapes, which I'm now going to hatch in with a fairly sort of loose diagonal mark. Across the face, a dark area on the neck, and Rosie's hair is generally darker than her face. So this broad pattern of hatching introduces that pattern of dark shapes, and it works together with some of those lines that I put down first. So we're creating a certain amount of form now. Light and dark planes working together. And I can continue to build up these tonal areas, or these areas of darker value. With my eyes half closed, then I can just see what are the darker areas that I might put a little bit more emphasis in, because looking in that way simplifies the pattern of light and shade, and I can see where to put some extra emphasis, some dark marks to make certain features stand out more strongly. Next, I'm going to smudge this pattern of tone, these hatched areas of dark shadows, smudge them and soften them. This is the lovely thing about willow charcoal. It's very easy, just with a finger, just touching the surface of the drawing, helps soften some of those hatched lines. It's a good way of quietening down some of that texture. The next thing I want to do is to start to refine those light shapes, and I find using a plastic eraser, which I will cut with a knife, to get some nice sharp edges with which I can refine some of the light planes. So again, I'm looking with my eyes half closed, and I want to refine some of the lighter shapes that have been left behind in the areas that weren't hatched on. I'll then carry on for some time, adding darker marks with the charcoal, subtracting and making lighter marks with the eraser, and gradually refining my observations of my model, trying to sensitively describe with lighter and darker marks what I'm seeing. Then it'll be time to spray the drawing with fixative. I'll go out of the studio and do that out there so that there's no build-up of fumes where my model's having to sit. And then I'll be ready to add some final emphasis at the end of the drawing. Out here, I'm going to lay the drawing down and put a layer of fixative. This layer of fixative will seal the charcoal so that it can't be smudged anymore. It's also very effective because it gives a nice tooth to the surface of the drawing, so that when I put some more marks on with the black charcoal and the white chalk, they're going to stand out in a very fresh way and give an extra emphasis to some of the parts of the drawing that I'd like to bring out. Now that the surface of the drawing has been sealed with the fixative, I'm going to use some white chalk to put on some lighter marks. This is called heightening the drawing. So again, looking with my eyes half closed, I see where the light is falling, and I put on a pattern of whiter marks. And for this, I'm not using the side of the chalk, I'm using the tip of it, so I can make some more of these hatched light marks which stand out just a little bit. Because the drawing has been sealed with the fixative, there's a nice tooth or roughness to the surface of the paper, so they'll allow those white marks to stand out a little bit more clearly. I'm adding darker marks with the charcoal, refining some of the lighter shapes with the eraser, and I can spend a good deal of time making these refinements to the drawing, always observing my model and just seeing what's needed to make a more sensitive observation of this particular head. Sometimes looking with my eyes half closed just to see exactly where I might want to put those stronger dark marks, and standing back just to see that they balance properly within the light and dark contrast that I've added to the drawing. And that's the finished drawing. That's you and me looking at the art of the past and building on the work of the old masters. This and other techniques by Degas are included in my new book, Paint Like Degas. So if you wanted to find out more about the way I've been drawing today and other ways of drawing, you'll find them in this book.